Welcome, my name is Yana the Heretic, and this is my channel, The Unpopular Opinion, Becoming Popular. And we are in a new gate, and as well as a new month. It is the month of March. There's been a lot of alignment going on for most people, and they may be feeling pressure of all types. Heat flashes, flu-like symptoms, whatever it is, because we've truly not had an alignment like this of all of our planets in a long time. And I'm here to shed some extra layers of depth upon you. We are now in gate 63, and that is the gate of doubt after completion. And this will be filtering from the 1st of March to the 7th of March. And this is a mental gate, so it relies on our ability to ground ourselves during this time, as it lies in our head center, which is the very top of our chart. This center is all about answering questions and answering other people's questions, and doubt is a huge part of that. So doubt naturally brings up the skeptic and the person that's never satisfied with an answer. So they seek out the answer. And when you're really dwelling on it, it becomes the not self, because you really aren't meant to answer your own questions, and you're really not meant to have to dwell on them to where it incapacitates what you're doing. And I know tons of people that feel that way, and they don't know why, and it's very difficult to live your life being always in the head center instead of just allowing yourself to do other things. The benefits is that these people guide us towards understanding complex and scientific things. They are the ones that build theories, but those theories aren't really for them to answer. It's meant for other people to come in and to either be inspired by the question, or for people to just sit and be able to experience the abstract nature of the question, to ponder life's greatest questions, like what are we here for? What has influenced us throughout time? What are our needs, and what are the collective needs of this planet Earth? So, as you know, a lot of these questions are so profound. It's like, what are you going to do with them? You can definitely make it a point to dwell on them, but then it tends to turn in on that person, on the 63. And once you turn in your questioning of yourself, then it becomes what we consider deeply disturbing, because you start to question your whole entire existence, and put yourself under a magnifying glass that debilitates a lot of your movement and your ability to just naturally feel proud of being yourself. So don't do that. Find ways to ground yourself, find all the tools to be able to sit, and get your mind off of things, whether that's exercise, whether that's meditation, whether that is art, music, whatever tools you have in your arsenal, playing with your dog, cat, any animal. I advise that for this week. Yeah, and I would consider the best example, I don't naturally have this gate, but I do have an example of this, because I grew up in a religious cult, and I always had very, very many questions as a child, and those questions were never solidified for me to comprehend or understand, but there was a lot of fear behind that. There was a lot of fear of being impure, and to lie by accident, because that was not what you're supposed to do, right? You're not supposed to lie. You're supposed to tell the truth and repent, or, just deal with the punishment and learn your lesson. So I was always really afraid of lying, and therefore I questioned myself a lot. And yeah, there was a huge upbringing of fear towards that. Because the 63 is naturally designed to have black and white thinking. It's either, this person has these similarities with me. I ask them these questions in order to spark the answer that I'm going to be satisfied with. And the more people you find that have similar questions or think about things in the same way, the more loyal you are to those people. You question the psychology and philosophy of a lot of different things that happen to you between your parents, between the adults that were in your life. You're like, is this really correct? Is this really how relationships should go? It becomes very introspective, and not always in a good way. But since this also is under the archetype of Mitra, the goddess or god of alliances, and the protector of treaties, so this is about the collective questions. This is about the era that we're in right now, and the ability to make alliances and treaties based off of the most popular thought, the most popular vote that we can come to. So obviously things are still destabilizing during this time, but we're attempting to ask more questions to understand what underlies this nation and what actually is going on. And this brings up a very interesting topic for me personally, because there's a lot of movies and media that is fueling a lot of style as well, that is fueling dystopian times and dystopian nature and the rise of technology. But realistically, if you didn't have media, would we really be forcing and pushing this idea? Is that naturally what we're gravitating to as futuristic benefit for the earth? Or if we didn't have the idea of dystopian times and the apocalypse, would we even be trying so hard to prevent it or to fuel the rise of technology? So, just understand what is the sustenance here. What are you really capable of digesting? The 63 is naturally very vocal about their questions. They almost start off a conversation with questioning, and it can become very overwhelming because it's almost like it's not enough. Like, they don't really want the answer. They just want to ask another question. And that is what after completion means here. It means that, either they just want to ask the question, or there's an answer that leads to another cycle of questions. Now, Gate 4, which is the natural counterpart to 63, and it is very similar, but this gate is the gate of formalization, so it is the one that provides the answer for the 63. It is the one that lies in the ajna center, just below the head, And it gives the 63 a moment of relief because it provides an answer. The skepticism for both of these is very present, and they are both very much the rational and the scientific and the ones that fuel advancement through their questions. But they aren't always, Gate 63 isn't going to necessarily answer their own questions. They're going to be a huge inspiration for those around them to bring these answers to fruition. And that's what it's meant to do. It's not meant to be answered by the 63. So if you find yourself, somewhere with somebody looking up at the stars and pondering life and asking each other questions, that's really where the tranquility comes through, is just being with somebody that thinks deeply about things and just having the peace of mind that somebody else doesn't also know. And it does provide that relief. Gate 63 really isn't meant to be alone because it needs somebody there to hear the question. If they are alone, then it becomes very disturbing because all of those questions are compiling within. And that doesn't mean that you can't be alone if you have Gate 63. It just means that when you activate that part of yourself, it's much more satisfying when other people are present. And when you're alone, you just try not to dwell on it and be super intense with yourself. So, yeah, this is on the cross of consciousness. So this is what, as a kid, builds your conscience. So you develop this feeling for, these natural life questions. You question that within yourself. What is right and wrong, and what does that look like? And are you going to do the same thing that the adults around you have done, or are you naturally just going to build your own theory for what is correct? And the channel of logic is not with us this week, so we're going to be floating around and asking life questions, but it's not meant to be answered by anybody, really. It's just about being able to write them down, either mentally or physically, just create that list and allow yourself to just be open to receiving, because no matter what, you're still going to live life experiencing things that come at you. So allow yourself to experience and to be lighthearted with it. I know that we have a ton of questions about politics and what is going on in our nation, and it can be very overwhelming. So, and it's also out of your control. Just trust the answers will come and the alliances will be made that are correct for the era. And I have some questions for you, which is hilarious and ironic, but I am always going to ask questions after this. But what does it mean? That question. This is very perfect for this gate. How can you release pressure to resolve things that do not have to be resolved right this second? And what methods do you have to ground your mind? In human design, you learn at the very beginning that the mind is supposed to ride passenger, because their mind is never going to determine your decision-making process. That differs for certain types, like the mental projectors, and those are the people that need to talk about the things that are going on and to soundboard with others. So it differs for certain types, but for the majority, it is very much about being in your lower chakras and your lower energy portals and centers, if you will. So the centers that really determine our decisions are our emotions, our ability to answer yes or no from our sacral, just being asked yes or no questions and seeing how our body reacts. And then there is the splenic awareness, which allows us to receive answers right away. It is the fastest decision-making process. It is the primitive center that allows us to feel and sense what the answer is from our body. So we try to live in those centers rather than making decisions from our mind, because our mind is meant to be a source of inspiration and creativity, as well as abstract imaginations and dreaming states. So second question we have: who is there to ask life's most esoteric questions with you? Doesn't that in itself bring you peace of mind? Someone to sit with you and count the stars. So I did mention that it is really nice to sit by the water and ponder life with somebody, and that is really the goal. How do you see questioning manifest a very black and white segregation within the community and politics? How can we activate neutrality in our neurons? So we're moving away from the yin-yang spectrum only. As our consciousness evolves as human beings, going through the Kali Yuga and moving up into more and more awareness. So there is a active, passive, and neutral that is added. The neutral is new, and it's about forming the pyramid within that allows you to receive answers outside of yourself, and to know that the neutral provides that ground for things to come out, for the ability to move forward and not be so intense. The ground in electronics is very similar to that. It is neutral in order to receive power in the right amount, in the right wattage or frequency, and that allows this sound to come out in a way that isn't super intense, isn't super flubby, isn't super fuzzy or distorted or feeding back like crazy. So you want to be able to ground yourself. Do you label yourself as progressive because of the collective, or do you have more questions to ask? So I find that people tend to jump into a tribal stasis, and for some of that, that's totally fine and normal and needed for the balance to be sustained in the universe. But how many of us are not questioning what is supposedly progressive thinking? And I think that we should have more questions, because there is no black and white in this universe, thankfully, at this time. There's much more to every single question and debate and theory. And I just want you to note who takes your question to heart this transit, and who takes your questions to a new level, because, like I said, you might be asking questions, but you're not really meant to receive the answer on your own. So other people are going to take this question from you and deliver this answer, or deliver some type of creative, elevated state to this question. It could still be abstract, but it is an answer of some similarity to this question. So yeah, and there we have gate 63, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson for this week. I will catch you guys in the next transit, and I hope you enjoy this week and broaden your perspective, and allowing yourself to speak about what you're capable of handling. If you don't have the bandwidth to communicate these questions or be able to hear them, you could totally say that, just be honest. Time is of the essence, and it is important for you to use your fuel wisely. My name is Yana the Heretic, and I will catch you all later.